Imagine waking up one morning to the shocking news that you can no longer travel to the United States. Not for a vacation, not for business, not even for a family emergency. No matter how good your intentions are, if you come from one of these 6 European countries, it feels like the doors to America are slammed shut. It's a gut punch to those who have always dreamed of visiting, meeting loved ones, or expanding their careers. This isn't just another news story. It's devastating for many. It's heartbreaking for families separated by oceans and terrifying for those whose livelihoods depend on international travel. President Donald Trump's announcement of a potential travel ban targeting specific European nations has sent shockwaves through the world. 6 countries are reportedly facing a historic freeze on entry into the United States. A move that feels as controversial as it is powerful. Number 6, France. France, long known as one of America's closest allies, is now shocked and hurt to find itself at the center of President Trump's controversial new travel ban. The reason for France being included in this ban has to do with security concerns. Trump and his advisors point to recent acts of terrorism in France, such as the tragic truck attack in Nice in 2016 and the horrific beheading of a teacher in 2020. These incidents have shaken the country, and now the French people are paying the price for the fear and uncertainty that followed. The administration argues that France has struggled with tracking radicalized individuals, especially in areas where there are large immigrant populations. The concern is that these individuals might find a way to enter the United States legally through tourist visas or visa waivers, bringing potential danger to American security. The idea that a trusted ally like France could now be seen as a security risk is a hard pill to swallow, and it feels like a slap in the face for many. This new move by Trump is a continuation of his push for extreme vetting from countries seen as high risk. Previously, the focus was on mostly Muslim-majority nations, but now it's spreading to Western Europe. This policy is based on the argument that being close to areas of terror is just as dangerous, no matter what passport someone holds. This shift is heartbreaking for the French, who never expected to face this kind of treatment from an old ally. The consequences of this ban on France are far-reaching. Every year, millions of French tourists visit the United States, and major French companies like L'Oreal, Airbus, and Total Energies have important business connections with American companies. If French citizens are banned from entering, it could harm not only tourism, but also billions of dollars in trade and investments. The painful reality is that this policy, aimed at protecting security, might come with a cost too high for both sides to bear. Yet Trump's team insists that security must come first, even if it means economic loss. France's leaders have reacted strongly and quickly, calling the decision unjust and unfriendly, and many are left wondering if there will be retaliation from the French government, possibly making it harder for American travelers to enter France. This entire situation feels like a betrayal, leaving both nations to deal with the fallout of a decision that could change the future of their relationship forever. Number 5, Belgium. Belgium's inclusion on the travel ban list might not come as a big shock to security experts, but it's definitely creating waves in the political world. Trump has been critical of Belgium's efforts to fight terrorism for a long time, even calling Brussels a hellhole after the tragic 2016 airport and metro bombings where dozens of innocent people lost their lives. His accusations are shocking, but he claims that Belgium, especially the Molenbeek district of Brussels, has become a dangerous place for recruiting radical extremists. These are other states that have overtaken. The United States believes that Belgium's government system, with its complex mix of French, Dutch, and German-speaking regions, makes it difficult to unite efforts in tackling terrorism effectively. It's often seen as slow and disjointed, which leaves room for extremist activities to spread more easily. One major concern is the passport loophole. Many radicals in Belgium, some born there, have European Union passports which allow them to travel to the United States without a visa. To Trump, this loophole needs to be closed, and that's why the ban is being proposed. The idea is to limit access to people who might pose a danger, even though some critics argue it's too broad. While Belgium's ties to the US might be smaller than those of countries like Germany or France, it still has important economic connections. Belgian goods like chocolates, machinery, and pharmaceuticals are popular in the US, but the real impact might not be economic, it's the diplomatic fallout that could hurt the most. Belgium is home to NATO's headquarters, and the US is already in a fragile position with international relations, especially with the tensions in Ukraine and the South China Sea. A ban could cause the US to lose allies, further weakening global unity at a time when it's already under strain. The heartbreaking part of this is the choice between protecting national security and maintaining strong international alliances. The debate over whether one is more important than the other is a tough decision that could have long-lasting consequences for both security and global trust. Number 4. Germany. Germany, a crucial ally for the United States, is now also on President Trump's new travel ban list, and this news is shocking and sad for many. For Trump, Germany represents two big threats, one of ideological influence and the other of weak border security. He has often criticized Germany's immigration policies, especially the decision made by Angela Merkel during the 2015-2016 refugee crisis, where she allowed over 1 million asylum seekers into the country. To Trump, this action opened the doors for what he calls a dangerous infiltration, and he believes that these loose borders could lead to more people who might pose a threat to the United States. Trump is blunt in his criticisms. He argues that Germany's open-door policy has made the country a hotspot for extremism and that their security checks are not enough to keep dangerous individuals from potentially entering the U.S. The administration points to incidents like the Berlin Christmas market attack in 2016 and claims that Germany's focus on political correctness has weakened its ability to protect itself and others. Rising crime rates in areas with higher migrant populations are used as more proof, though many believe these numbers are often exaggerated for political purposes. On top of all this, the economic effects of banning German travelers would be huge. Germany is the largest economy in Europe, and American companies like Ford, Amazon, and Microsoft have major operations there. The flow of skilled workers, tourists, and students from Germany to the U.S. is vital to industries like technology and education, and cutting that off could cause long-lasting damage. The economic loss would be deeply felt on both sides. But beyond the financial costs, this ban represents something deeper, a symbolic fracture between two longtime allies. For decades, Germany and the United States have seen each other as cornerstones of the Western world. A travel ban isn't just a policy decision, it feels like a breakdown of trust between two nations that have stood together through so much. Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Merkel's successor, has already hinted that Germany might impose retaliatory measures if their citizens are treated unfairly. This rift could lead to more hurt and mistrust, and it's a painful reminder of how even the strongest of alliances can be shaken by fear and division. Number 3. Italy. Italy being added to the travel ban list is both shocking and heartbreaking. For years, Italy has been a gateway for African and Middle Eastern migrants trying to enter Europe, often coming in illegally. The Trump administration is deeply concerned that Italy's immigration system is overwhelmed and that some dangerous individuals could slip through unnoticed, get European Union papers, and eventually make their way into the United States. Italy's close proximity to unstable regions in North Africa raises alarm bells for security officials, adding to the growing worry. For decades, Italy and the United States have shared a special bond, strengthened by cultural ties and the large Italian-American population in the U.S. But Trump has shown that when it comes to national security, even the strongest friendships can be tested. His policy team insists that safety must always come first, even if it means questioning allies. It's a sad realization that no country is immune from this scrutiny, no matter how deep the connection may be. The political reaction in Italy is mixed. Some right-wing politicians who align with Trump's views understand the move, but many from more globalist groups feel deeply insulted by it. The economic impact would be significant too. Italian industries like fashion, wine, and luxury cars depend on exports to the U.S., and a travel ban could harm those businesses. But perhaps the most painful result would be the emotional toll. Italian citizens who once saw the United States as a dream destination might now view it as a cold fortress, turning its back on old friends. It's a sad reality that this policy could change the way many Italians see their once beloved American ally. Number 2. Sweden. When Sweden was added to the travel ban list, it left many people shocked. Sweden is famous for being peaceful, neutral, and having a strong welfare system, so it's not a country we would expect to hear about in security debates. Yet, President Trump has mentioned Sweden several times in his speeches, criticizing what he sees as the failures of mass immigration policies. He has often pointed to what he calls a rise in violent crime and sexual assault after Sweden took in tens of thousands of refugees from the Middle East and Africa during the refugee crisis. However, Sweden's officials have pushed back against Trump's claims. They argue that overall crime rates have remained fairly stable, but they do admit that some urban areas are struggling with gang violence. Trump's team, however, believes that Sweden is too politically correct to admit the growing presence of extremist groups within some of its cities, and they view this as a serious security risk. So, the proposed ban on Swedish citizens is seen as a preventative measure, a way to stop potential dangers before they happen. The idea is heartbreaking, banning a peaceful nation. Based on these concerns, the consequences of this ban would be felt strongly, especially in industries like tech, gaming, and music, where Swedish innovators regularly work with US partners. Big names like Spotify, Volvo, and Clara might feel the economic impact of such a move. On a cultural level, a ban would also represent a deep divide between the United States under Trump's leadership and Northern Europe, which is seen as more progressive. It's not just a matter of security anymore. Many people see it as a clash of ideologies, multicultural societies versus strong national borders. The emotional impact of this ban could tear apart the connection between two very different visions of how countries should govern and protect their citizens. It's a sad reminder of how complex and painful the issue of immigration can be. Number 1, Spain. Spain's inclusion on the travel ban list is truly shocking and sad. Spain, a country known for its rich culture and stunning coastlines, is now facing immigration and terrorism concerns, especially after the rise of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. The 2017 Barcelona van attack, which claimed the lives of innocent people, is something that still haunts the nation. For Trump, this tragic event and others like it are proof that Spain has weaknesses in its counterterrorism systems. Another issue is Spain's southern border, especially in areas like Ceuta and Mala in North Africa, where illegal immigration has been a constant problem. Trump's advisors argue that even though Spain has made improvements, it is still an open door for people who might use Europe's freedom of travel to reach the United States, creating a risk for American safety. The emotional impact of this is devastating for the Spanish people. Spain heavily depends on tourism, and a ban could hurt industries like hospitality, real estate, and education. Spanish students have been some of the fastest-growing groups enrolling in American universities, and now that flow might come to an abrupt stop, leaving many dreams shattered. Leaders in Spain, just like those in France and Germany, have condemned the ban, calling it a short-sighted and harmful decision. It feels like a betrayal of long-term alliances that have been built over many years. But for Trump's team, this isn't about punishing Spain, it's about protecting America. They frame this policy as a way to keep Americans safe, no matter the cost to diplomatic relations. So why is this happening now? Trump's return to politics is driven by the same things that made him successful in 2016: immigration, national security, and economic nationalism. As terrorism fades into the background of public concerns, Trump seems determined to bring it back to the forefront. This move is meant to reignite debates about borders, security, and the growing divide between globalism and nationalism. With rising tensions in Europe and conflicts abroad, Trump sees this as a chance to reinforce America as a fortress of stability amidst chaos. But the critics argue that these bans could backfire, hurting not just diplomatic relationships, but also the economy. It's a risky move, but Trump seems willing to take that risk to reinforce his brand of strong, unapologetic nationalism. Val, before we finish, I want to ask you, what do you think about all of this? The world is changing faster than we can keep up. Every policy, every headline shapes not only borders, but also the way we see each other and our world. If you think it's important to stay informed and not just accept the news at face value, then you're exactly the kind of person we need in this community. If today's breakdown made you think differently, or even just helped you understand the bigger picture, please don't just scroll away. Join our movement by subscribing, hitting the bell for updates, and leaving a comment below. Do you agree with this travel ban? Do you think security should trump diplomacy, or is this a dangerous path to isolation? I want to hear your voice, because having a real conversation is how we make sense of the complex world we live in. Also, share this video with someone who needs to hear the full story, not just the headlines, and invite them into this conversation. Knowledge is not just power, it's a responsibility. Together, let's stay sharp, stay open, and stay fearless. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.